trust me, losing those little things, it happens, okay? It happens, and that is completely okay. It has happened to me. It's happened to all crocheters. And if it hasn't happened to you, good for you. Hello, fellow crocheters. Welcome to my video. So in this video, I want to help new crocheters just kind of learn how to get started on crochet. I know there's like a million videos out on YouTube on, learning how to crochet, what things you're gonna need, and, blah, blah, blah. But I thought that I would come up with my own list. I'm pretty sure it's like the same list that everyone has, but I figured I might as well just have it on my channel in case anyone ever is across my channel and they can see, I'm helpful sometimes, okay? But yeah, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started in this video. All right, so I'm gonna be talking about things that I feel is important to have when you're first starting to crochet. So these are the crochet must-haves, okay? I do have a small list written here, so I'm gonna go based on that. It's not a long list. It's really simple to start with crochet. It's just a matter of getting started, just like everything, like exercising, it's a matter of getting started. So the first thing is, I would say it's the most basic thing, and that is hooks. You are gonna need hooks. When I first started crocheting, I bought my hooks off of Amazon, and I actually still have those hooks with me. I still use them all the time because honestly, I really love those hooks. I would eventually love to move on to better hooks. I'm not very knowledgeable on hooks, to be honest with you, but I've heard of certain brands are better, so I would love to try those one day or get a custom hook. That'd be pretty cool. But if you're just first starting, I would definitely recommend Amazon. That's always the place to go to get your first hooks. They're pretty good. I like them. I still use them. The next one that you're gonna need is, of course, yarn, because without yarn you can't use your hook, and without a hook you can't use your yarn, right? So you can get it pretty much anywhere. You could go to Walmart, you can go to Joann, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, you could go online on Amazon, of course. You could go to Hobby or hobby.com, premier, websites. So I would personally start with acrylic or any medium size yarn, which it takes a while to know those numbers, but basically it's like these basic yarns that you see in every store. These are medium size 4. I started with that and I got really comfortable with that, and I still use them obviously to this day. And then eventually you can move on to other sizes, like size 5, size 6, 7, jumbo, if you're into like making jumbo stuff. But yeah, I would definitely start with acrylic. It is the most basic one that you can start with. It's sold everywhere. So yeah. The next one is definitely pretty important, and that is stitch markers, because when you're first starting, you're still trying to get used to the counting stage and you don't want to lose track, right? So stitch markers are really important. I mean, obviously you can just use anything else like a safety pin or whatever, but you can always just start with stitch markers. Any kind of stitch marker would work as long as you're keeping track of your count, because when you lose count, it just turns out completely different and you're just like, what did I do? It's because you lost count. Next one are needles. Needles are obviously something you're going to need if you want to finish your project. If not, that's totally up to you. But needles are pretty important to have because obviously you're going to want to finish your project and you get to sew in your ends, and you can't just stick with just a regular knot. You got to sew it in, unfortunately. And this one, it's pretty simple. Scissors. You're going to need scissors to cut your yarn, because if you pull the yarn apart, it's actually really bad because you're stretching the yarn, and I guess obviously it snags it, and you don't want that. So you might as well just do a nice clean cut, especially when you're about to sew in your ends, you gotta have a clean cut. So scissors are pretty important. All right, so this next one is really good to have. It's not really a requirement, but it's a good idea to have, and that is like a little bag or like a little pouch or maybe even like a pencil case to keep all of your small items together. So like like your needles, your stitch markers, your hooks, keep them all together so you don't lose them, because trust me, losing those little things, it happens, okay? It happens, and that is completely okay. It has happened to me. It's happened to all crocheters, and if it hasn't happened to you, good for you. I will have this little pouch thing that I found on Amazon. I will have it linked in my description, but basically this I will show you guys. So this is the pouch that I use, And this is also the same pouch that came in with my hooks, my stitch markers, and my needles. So I will have it linked in my description if you are wanting to purchase one yourself. I am not at all sponsored. I'm nowhere near getting sponsored, okay? I'm just helping here. But I really, really love using this because it fits, you guys, it fits so much in here. Like I have like big hooks, I have a pen, I have like all kinds of like needles, and like I even have my scissors in here. I have a lot in here. So it helps to have a nice little pouch. I've had this since, like I said, since I first started crocheting. So get yourself one of these. It comes with, I believe there's 2 different sizes that you can get, not like bags, but like in terms of how many things you want in your little package. And it's really, really cheap. There's the one that has 9 items, so obviously your hooks, your stitch markers, and your needles. And there's one that has 15, I believe, and that one has more hooks. So if you want like bigger hooks, and there's stitch markers and your needles. So definitely recommend. All right, so this next one is, I would say, is pretty important to me, and that's having like a little container or like a bin for storage. Obviously when you first start off, you're not going to be buying a whole lot of yarn, but trust me, that yarn addiction gets to you, okay? Because you're gonna go to the store one day and you're gonna see this really, really cute yarn, and you're gonna buy it and you're not gonna use it. It happens, okay? And if it doesn't happen to you, good for you, because you have a lot more self-control. But majority of crocheters always end up buying more yarn than they need, especially when you're first starting out, because you don't really know how much yarn you're gonna need. So you just buy like a lot. Like for example, this. I bought a lot more than I needed, and here I am with all of these. And also it's a good idea to have like a bin for your current projects. So like if you're working on something and you want to take a break, or you're gonna go to sleep, you know, you might as well stick it in a bin so that way you remember where it is. Especially if you have pets, you don't want the project to have a lot of fur, because you don't know if you ever do sell that item, you don't know if your customer is allergic to those pets. So it's always a good idea to keep them stored away in a bin or a Ziploc bag. I've seen people store them in Ziploc bags, which still works, you know. So this next one, it's not really a requirement, but I feel like it's a good way to start, and that is to have, you know, obviously your social media accounts like Instagram or like TikTok or YouTube, because that's a good way for you to start learning patterns and pretty much getting involved in the community for crocheters. I think another one, if you want to look for even more inspiration, and that's Pinterest. Oh my god, you guys, Pinterest is like, it's my place. I love Pinterest. It has so many ideas, so many patterns, because that's usually where I get all of my free patterns. There's just so much on Pinterest, and it's just fantastic. I always recommend Pinterest if you're looking for ideas. If you're looking to purchase items, or not purchase items, but purchase patterns, like once you learn how to read patterns, you can always go to Etsy. Etsy is always the place I go to for patterns, or Ravelry, I think that's what it's called. Just places like that that sell patterns. It's always a good idea. But definitely Pinterest and Instagram, those are the 2 places that I usually go to for inspiration. And then this last one, it is very optional, completely optional, okay? It's not required at all, but it's only required if you niche down to this. So if you start off and then you're like, oh my gosh, I really want to start with plushies, you're gonna need safety eyes, okay? Unless you're comfortable embroidering your eyes, then completely go for it. I embroider my eyes sometimes too, but you could always start with safety eyes and Poly-Fil, because you need them to be nice and chunky, okay? But this is only if you are starting with amigurumi or plushies. You definitely need safety eyes, and definitely need Poly-Fil. I mean, you can always fill it up with like, you know, little scraps of yarn that you may have, but Poly-Fil is definitely number one. If you for some reason can't afford those bags that they sell at like Walmart or Joann's or Michael's, you can always go to the dollar store. If they have, I'm not sure if they still have them, but you could always purchase a pillow, or even like at a store and just get the cheapest pillow you can get, cut that pillow open, and then just take the stuffing out and you stuff your plushies with that. I've done it before and it's fantastic. So those were all of my crochet must-haves. I hope in some way it helps. Some of these, obviously, they're not really required, but it's only if like you totally want to. But yeah, so I really hope it helps someone out there. It's not much, but you know, it's something. So anyway, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe down below so you won't miss out on any of my future videos. And with that, I hope to see you lovely crocheters in my next video. Bye!